Welcome back to Horntie Studios for another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder. This is my 100th episode of the 666 Seconds videos, and if you could tell, I've got quite a cold, but I'm getting through it. But that means that each one of these videos is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So let's get right to it. But don't forget to like this video, drop a comment below. That helps the video get out there to more people. And if you're not a subscriber, consider doing that before you leave today. I sure appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. Now, it is important to remember that this video is for informational purposes only. These are just my opinions and speculation. I'm not an expert. I'm just using some good common sense to discuss this case. And I'm not saying anyone is guilty of anything, all right? Everything I say is alleged, okay? Now, for this episode, I'd like to discuss a story that was very recently in the news about the passing of Micah Miller. I think this is going to be a huge case, so if you're not familiar with it, strap in and get ready for a very fascinating case that has all sorts of interesting things to discuss, okay? So Micah Miller was the wife of Pastor John Paul Miller, also known as J.P. Miller. He's a preacher in the South Carolina Solid Rock Church was the name of his church in Spartansburg, which is by Myrtle Beach. Now he's got, the suspicious girlfriend. He's got a bitter separation and filing for divorce with Micah. Some really shady circumstances around the event that took her life 100 miles away in North Carolina at the Lumber State Park, and that's in Lumberton, North Carolina. Now, I know that many of you that watch my videos are used to me talking quite a bit about the Idaho 4 case, and I will continue, of course, to do that. But it would be nice to talk about something else for a change, and as I said, this is a very interesting case that has been developing almost by the hour as new information is coming out, new people talking, and that sort of thing. So if you maybe have seen some of the other creators doing videos about this. So I hope that you consider me as a good source for content about this case. I plan on following it closely and doing videos about it. So let's talk about the basics, okay? So Micah Miller's body was found on April 27th, so just 10 days ago. The apparent cause, a single gunshot wound to the head, okay? She was 30 years old at the time. Now, while they were separated, and apparently she had filed for divorce back in October of last year, this has been a very messy situation, okay? She's filed multiple times for legal separation. We know that, the most vulnerable time for a woman is when she's leaving a relationship. So, she had a restraining order against her husband only days before this happened. So again, monster red flags going on in this case, okay? And there has been quite a bit mentioned already in news stories about this from family and friends. So these don't appear to be just rampant rumors going around. They said that Micah was in an abusive relationship. She was trying to start her life over again. And the couple didn't have any children, thankfully. That's the only good thing about this story. But as I do with more, as I do more videos about this on the channel, I'll be picking apart certain aspects of this. I've already got several episodes in mind of different things I can do with some of the different aspects of the case. So like I said, I do want to dig into it and just trying to get you guys caught up as of what's going on right now, as well as myself, because I'm getting ready to bunker down here. This looks like it is going to be a popular case. Now, J.P. Miller is 44 years old. So somewhat of a controversial figure. So if you're doing the math, yeah, he's 14 years older than she was. He's had some serious issues when it comes to his home situation, okay? One of the disturbing things about this story is that he said Micah was his best friend in 2009. Now, if you do the math, that means that she would have been like 14 or 15 years old, and he would have been like 28 or 29. So that is super creepy, okay? Allegedly, he was cheating on his first wife with Micah, and I believe others as well, but that's all I know of at this moment. He had 5 children with the first wife, so this is just a terrible situation, right? Oddly, there's all sorts of drama in the past with his dad, and he was found to be committing acts of SA with young boys. In addition, JP's son also had some issues with the law in regard to domestic violence issues, and I think had either done some time or is currently doing some time. So there's all sorts of stuff going on here with this preacher, and lots of issues that pertain to what's going on here. There's all sorts of disturbing things going on there in his life, and I'll get more into that in future videos. So it appears that JP was grooming Micah at the young age of 14 years old, and it sure seems that way, allegedly, of course. Now, please keep in mind, just like I mentioned with Brian Kohberger, JP Miller is considered innocent until proven guilty in the passing of his wife. He may have been an awful individual that cheated on his wife and had kids and all of that, but that doesn't mean that he's guilty of this crime. Now, certainly, there's a lot of things that point in his direction. I'm just saying, let's at least not condemn him until we find out more. This is only 10 days old, okay? Now, there is plenty of obvious hallmarks here that he possibly was the one to do it. We know the spouse or the ex-spouse is always number one on the list of people that are under suspicion, and until that person is eliminated as a suspect, they move on, okay? They don't move on. They keep on that person. So we'll see how things develop, okay? Hopefully law enforcement doesn't call Moscow, Idaho to get some advice on how to handle a case, maybe ask some questions about how gag orders work. Hopefully that's not the case here, because we know with the Murdoch situation, that was not the case, okay? They were all about full disclosure. 911 calls, police interviews, body cam, all of it. So let's hope with this case, they are the same and they let the public see what's going on. But at this time, JP Miller has not been arrested. I haven't even heard him been publicly said that he's a suspect. I haven't heard anything of the sort, okay? Now, I saw a video yesterday that JLR did about this case. Of course, we all know JLR, boots on the ground. I mean, you got to give it to him for his tenacity. But he was on church property shooting some video, and there was a pickup truck there parked nearby. He engaged in a quick conversation, only to the man opened the door, made a motion like, you know, cut your camera, and it was JP Miller. And JLR started to talk to him. He shut his door and drove off very quickly. So certainly not the model of what the grieving husband you would assume would kind of be like. Maybe say something like, you know, please give me some space. I'm not going to comment, and then just drive off, you know. But the way he did it, it was a little suspicious, okay? Another thing that makes this story creepy is the fact that the day after her body was found, JP preached for his congregation and acted like nothing had happened. I mean, there's all sorts of video on this. I mean, all his sermons, I believe, are videotaped. He's cracking lots of jokes about him being tall and handsome. And in light of what we know he knew at the time, which was his wife's body was found, it makes it even that much more disturbing. It does seem very odd. We all know that people grieve differently, but this was really strange. Then, at the very end of the sermon, he asks the congregation to stand up so he could tell them something, and he asks that they don't talk about the news while they're still in the church. He told them that he would be leaving the church for some time, but wasn't specific on how long that was. And he told them that, his wife's body was found and all of this. So hopefully the police are keeping an eye on this guy in case he wants to take off. But very strange to do it the way he did it right at the end of the sermon, had him stand up, told him he was going to be leaving, told him that his wife's body was found. But then he goes on and on about it, okay? But in the past, this guy has made some public statements about Micah that were very, very inappropriate. He's also known for making a lot of misogynistic statements, and this turned a lot of people off to his church, and many of them had left the church before this happened. And I'm sure since this has happened, I'm sure a lot more of them have left. Because he not only owned the church, like he owned it, he owned the land. So could this have been some sort of financial scandal? Because rumor is that she knew about some sort of financial funny business going on with the church and him, and maybe that was why this happened. Just throwing that out there, but that's as far as I know, that's just rumor. But he told the congregation his wife's body had been found in this park in North Carolina, self-inflicted wound. Went on to mention her mental health issues, that she was taking medication, and some things that maybe should have been kind of left out, I think. He also talked about having to take her multiple times to different mental health facilities over attempts that she had made on her life. But I don't know if any of that is true. That's what at least he's saying, okay? But certainly, it sure looked like he was trying to lay down that groundwork to jive with this early indication that it was done intentionally, okay? He wanted to have her cremated very quickly, but they said nah. So they have put a halt to that, so that's good. Now, leading up to this event, Micah had posted several videos on her Facebook page talking about abusive relationships, and several of the other creators have shown videos, like that. She also talked about her relationship issues and kind of in general, kind of like advice to other people, and talking about if a partner forces you to take drugs. So I'm not really sure what that's all about. But it sure seemed like she was talking more like a cautionary tale of her own story versus generic advice to women type of a thing. Her family and friends were adamant that she would not have done this to herself. She was obviously a very devout religious woman, and that would certainly fly in the face of strong beliefs like that. She told family and friends that he was going to do something to her and make it look like she did it herself. And this is unfortunately very common among women who go through divorce. My own mom used to work for a divorce attorney, and she said that women said that all the time, which is really scary, for sure. Now, I hope you guys are interested in this case. There's a lot more to get to. Just wanted to get to some of the basics, but JP's girlfriend also had a husband that died of some questionable circumstances. So I'm guessing that this incident with Micah is definitely going to reopen that drowning case. So I'll get into that in future videos with you. But don't forget, I'm going to be live on this channel Mother's Day. That's this Sunday, May 12th. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central, but I'm going to be with my friend Lucky from Unfiltered Lucky. We're going to be talking Idaho 4, of course. We're also going to be talking about some moms, some murdering moms, because it's Mother's Day. So we got to get into some female true crime cases. So we'll do that. and that'll be a lot of fun, so don't miss it. Comment with your thoughts here. I'd love to hear from you guys. I do want to say thank you, though, to my friends in the Horn Tie Club. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you guys like that perk of getting the videos as soon as I upload instead of waiting for them to come out. And I know a lot of you guys like that perk, and I'm glad I can do that for you. I appreciate all you guys that watch these videos. We'll see you next time for another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder.